Ladies and gentlemen, after some major technical issues, we're about a half hour late now, even a little bit past what we normally would start here, I guess. But we do have some stuff to talk about. There has been some roster movements. We have a match to discuss that happened, and we have an upcoming match to discuss. So hopefully you're here to listen with us and have a good time. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
We are underway in the postseason, the first playoff game ever played in Orange County.
It's a 1-2, Godoy. He's found a great ball into Voltson. Plenty of time. He smashes it home and doubles the visitors' lead. Thomas Voltson.
Now Segber sprinting forward on the counterattack. A little handsy there. Crosses it. Pineda, the extra pass. Seaton finishes.
It rolls down to his left and burying aside. Well taken care of by the Orange County keeper.
We'll leave it for Aiden Quinn. He'll strike towards goal! And it's gone in!
An equalizer and a winner in second half stoppage time for Orange County off the left boot of Aiden Quinn.
This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. Follow us on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast and on Facebook at Orange and Black Soccercast. How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccercast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Zamora, and I'm with you each and every episode as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. Joining me as he does each and every episode, we've got Dylan from County Line Coalition. Dylan, how are you and the Crickets doing tonight?
The Crickets are great. I'm officially the Lord of the Crickets now, I think, is the nickname I'm going to give myself, I guess. I'm trying to survive in this. I don't like the heat. I'm going to complain about the heat. It's supposed to be like 90 later this week, and I'm not okay with that.
Oh, you're going to bring on those wonderful friends of ours from the hotter parts of this country to come and sort of laugh at us, Dylan.
That's fine.
They could do it. That's fine.
I'm used to it.
Also joining us, as he does pretty much every episode as well, down in San Diego, wearing his good old US of A soccer kit. That is Alan. Alan, how are things down near the Mexico border?
Things are going pretty well. Just signed up for solar. I got my 4-star kit the other day, so I'm sporting it today. So we got 4 stars on our shirt. So I'm super stoked to start talking about soccer. I know it's like half an hour late, but better late than never.
Better late than ever. Yeah, we had some major technical issues. Long story short, last week I decided to clear a bunch of apps that I no longer thought I was using on my computer that we use when I'm recording this, and I accidentally deleted one of our apps that basically helps run the sound for this and connect all the sounds. So that was my bad. Totally ruined what was going to be an amazing, awesome episode because we were going to bring on a guest. We finally decided to bring on someone from the club other than Richard Chaplow for actually some live questioning with us. But because of the technical issues and because I don't want to be that person that says, hey, just wait just like another 5 minutes. Oh, and then 5 minutes come. Wait another 5 minutes. I just let our guest go. I don't want to disappoint anyone, so I won't really say anything. It might have been on the chats already what was going on. I don't know what Dylan and Alan are doing there. I don't get to watch those chats too often, but we'll work on trying to bring this guest back on with us in a future episode. We're going to work harder to try and bring some guests on here to speak so you don't just have to hear myself, Dylan, and Alan each week.
Oh, don't worry. We're just plotting your removal from your duties in your office, so you won't even... listeners won't have to hear you anymore. It'll just be Alan and I and whoever we bring on.
Go for it, you guys.
#S'more out.
If you guys want to do that, go for it. You guys can run this awesome setup that I run here and try and figure things out. But we do got some stuff to talk about. There was some roster movements this past week as Orange County, I guess you could say they made history, U.S. soccer history for the men's. And they also played a match this past Friday, which was also our watch party that we did. So Dylan, Alan, myself, my wife, we went out to a local pizza place. We invited everyone that is an Orange County Soccer Club fan. I want to say, what did we have? 4, 6, 7, 8, like about 10 people show up. And then we also tried to work the pizza place and convert some fans over. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we did a decent job. I know there was one family there that seemed pretty excited when they saw what we were watching and saw the screen and was trying to show it to their kids. And thanks to Orange County Soccer Club for providing some giveaways that we were able to give some of those fans that maybe were not too aware of the team, that we're able to maybe try and help convert them and bring in some new fans to the stadium. So let's talk about, before we get into the match and more about the watch party, let's talk about the roster movements that were announced, or the roster movement that was announced this week. I'm going to hand it off to Dylan because he sort of got to actually find out the most about what was going on with this, other than what was posted on the interwebs and social media. So Dylan, for any of our listeners that have been hiding under a rock for the past few days, can you let them know what the big announcement was?
Yeah, we signed a 14-year-old that's actually physically capable of being a professional, unlike Freddie Adu. His name is Francis Jacobs. He's from Laguna Beach. He's been playing with U23s for the last few months. Played a good chunk of time against the U17s. What was that, 2 weeks ago now? And I think he's about 5'11", so he's young, but he's already got that physical stature, and he'll only grow into his body as he gets older. But like a box-to-box defensive midfielder, kind of starting his career, and he had a couple trials with some bigger European clubs, but decided to turn it down to stay here. Wanted to be home, close to his family, his friends. Kind of enjoy being a teenager and being a person as much as he's ready to be a professional. He's got his sights on playing in Europe and developing to be able to play in Europe. But for the meantime, he set his goals to start by making the starting 11 as often as possible, and to get as good as possible here and move on. And that's a sentiment that's been echoed by Braden Cloutier and by Oliver Weiss as well. Everyone seems really excited to have him here, and he seems really excited to be able to stay home and play professionally. He's totally still 14, and you kind of get that sense talking to him and just kind of like looking at him. You're like, you are definitely a child, but he's pretty mature, and you can already tell that. If luck goes his way and he develops as everyone seems to think he can, that he can be a European player in the future.
So I do have to ask you, Dylan, what is it like to have someone that is 7 years younger playing basically professionally in soccer? How does that make you feel?
Pretty inadequate, because when I was 14, that's when I stopped playing soccer. So I could have been doing this instead.
If only Orange County Soccer Club was around back when you were 14 years old.
Yeah, really. I might have continued playing.
Alan, what are your thoughts on this signing? Is this, let me ask you this. This will sort of a little wrinkle to the question here, is if Orange County was maybe sitting more at the top of the table, do you think this would have been something that they'd be announcing at this point? Or is this something more where they're now positioned not quite where we want them to be? Is this maybe something just to sort of help energize the fans, get them excited, and sort of already now looking towards what's going to happen in the following season with some of these younger players that maybe they're trying to add and play?
I would like to hope that this would have been announced anyway. I think, you're in a top 3 spot. You're saying like, hey, look how good we are, and we're preparing for the future. Like, I think you can spin it either way. I do think that maybe they signed him a little bit earlier to generate some news and some press in a way that wouldn't. They're getting some national attention from this now. They're in that conversation because he is that young player. But you just look at what Aaron Cervantes has been able to do, and they brought them in when he was like 15. So not that much older. And now we have right before he started, he was 16 and he was 17 when he started. So he's not like 17 going on 18. He's like just turned 17. So I think if you find those youth players, you get them in, you give them some starts, and you mix in some of those younger guys with the old guys, and you develop those players, and then you sell them on and fund your team. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think some of the American guys in Europe were signed at 15, and they were still able to develop in a professional setting. And I think that's really important for a lot of these players to step out of that kind of the amateur stage and really step up and to be able to develop as a professional player and actually, get compensated or train with professionals. I think just sitting next to them and being around them when they train, I think, is super important to development. You can't just be the best in a small pond. You got to sometimes get thrown in with the big fishes, and I think that's just going to help to drive soccer development, especially in Orange County. They have some youth programs they're going to pull from, and this is just going to make it even more exciting for kids because they can see a direct path between I am learning how to play soccer to I can be a professional in my backyard. And that's a huge step forward. That wasn't something when I was a kid that people even thought of. So now that there is this pathway of if you're good enough and you work hard enough, you don't even have to be driving a car. You can be trained with professionals. And I think it's just going to excite people because you can't do that in most other sports.
And I think with soccer, that's like the sport that sort of has embraced the youth movement. A lot of sports, when you look at, say, football, they sort of require their players to go to, like, I think they have to be 3 years out of high school before they can enter the NFL or something like that, or maybe it's 2 years, something like that. Baseball, you can go straight from high school, but if you do choose to go to college, then you have to commit to like 2 or 3 years at college. Basketball at one point was drafting quite a bit of high school players, and then they decided, no, we don't like that, so we're going to make you have to go to college at least 1 year. So there's been all these pushes from the other sports in the U.S. to sort of say, we want you to go to college, we want you to be a little bit more mature, whereas soccer has always seemed to be that sport worldwide where if you can find someone young, bring them in, develop them, and like Alan said, either develop them and sell them for some money, or if you do have more prestige, you develop them, you try and just bring them up into your system and the senior level.
When you look at like gymnastics, tennis, golf, some of these these other sports, there is an avenue to turn professional early, but I think those are different kinds of sports than maybe soccer, football, baseball are. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be. If we have an opportunity to do that, we should do that. I mean, in gymnastics, if you're, not winning by 18, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, tennis, if you're not winning grand slams by 21, you're pretty much on the downward trajectory of your career. Those are the kind of some of those younger sports. And we see that if you find someone special, they can perform at a high level and compete. And I think football, there's a, you might die element of that, which I think stops that. True. But I think with soccer, you find that special kid. He's like 5'11". He looks like a dude already. He's just going to, fill out. If you can get him into a professional setting, that he's probably going to develop into something special.
And as a 14-year-old, he already has more facial hair than Dylan does. So, Dylan, did you have a thought or anything you wanted to say on this topic?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think that the NCAA is great for development, especially if you're 14 and you're already like physically or at least technically ready to play professionally. Sitting around for 4 years and destroying your high school and then your club team and just like sitting around and beating kids that are never going to be nearly as good as you into the ground isn't going to do anything for your development. Like, you're going to hit a ceiling and you're going to stay there for a long time. And at the level that Jacob seems to be at right now, the NCAA doesn't make any sense for him either, because he's not really going to be challenged necessarily, even at some of the bigger schools. We saw that with like Frankie Amaya. He put a year in at UCLA and then decided, no, I'm too good for this, and went to MLS, and he's been playing in Cincinnati, and he was good here. So I think, I think people in the U.S. are finally realizing that soccer development really starts at a younger age, even professionally. And the only reason those guys are ever going to be good enough to make it at a professional level is starting early and playing professionally early, or at least playing with professionals early and learning how they see the game and being subjected to the physicality and the intensity of the professional game rather than some like part-time collegiate or high school sport. But you know, they also mentioned like if he for whatever reason decides he still wants to go to college, they have the educational fund. So you know, if he decides to go to college, you know, his degree will still be paid for, and all that he's given up is the ability to play college soccer, which,
Yeah.
again, at his level, isn't a sacrifice at this point. So,
Yeah, no, definitely. Let me ask you, gentlemen, then we'll start with you, Alan. Odds on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being for sure, 1 being no way. What are the odds that we see him on the pitch and actually getting minutes this weekend against Vegas?
Oh, this weekend?
Yes, this weekend.
Um,
With all the buzz around it, you know, like you said, national attention, New York Times, USA Today, ESPN, Yahoo Sports, everyone's talking about it. So, I mean, it's one of those things. Do you put him in there at least even maybe for the final 10 minutes to sort of get that hype or keep that hype going? Or do you slowly work him in and maybe have him sit and watch a little bit more and work his way into potential playing time?
I think
Odds. Give me the odds. That's
odds. I'd say 50-50. I think there's a chance that if a game goes the right way and you put him on the bench, and if things are going the right way, you might roll him out there for a home start, especially against Vegas. So I'd say 50-50.
What about you, Dylan? Odds.
1 out of 10. The only way he even makes, like, honestly, the only way he plays, and he'd come on as a sub, is if we're blowing out Vegas. But I don't think he makes the 18. I think there's a bunch of guys in front of him who are still a little more qualified at this point in the season, and he knows that. And Cloutier's basically said as much. You know, he's available, but it's unlikely. I mean, we'll probably see him in like a year. Same thing with Aaron. You know, sit around, get used to being a professional, develop physically, and then get thrown in.
Cool. As much as I'd love to keep talking about this, because it was a pretty awesome piece of news to get after what happened in the last match, but we do have a match to talk about, which I know many of you probably are already muting this podcast now or turning it off because you don't really want to hear anything about the match up in the Pacific Northwest as Orange County traveled up to Tacoma to face Tacoma Defiance. Copyright should have been to Alan, but he didn't do that in time. Or not Alan, Andy, not Alan. Alan, I'm giving you credit, Alan. That's not even yours to get. But we do have to talk about this match. Orange County did go up early, or not early, but they went up first, 1-0 on a Michael Seaton goal, I believe it was, from a great cross, I believe from Darwin Jones. And then 2 unanswered
That's
goals.
correct.
Two unanswered goals from Tacoma. And I think this was, we talked about it last week. This is the match where you look on paper, you look at stats, you look at every single little thing, and it should have been a win for Orange County. I think if I was a betting man and I would have gone to Vegas and put money on Tacoma to win this match and get the full 3 points, I probably would have a nice, maybe $100 in my hand this week. But it is what happened. Orange County loses another match on the road. That's been like sort of their Achilles heel this whole season is road matches. They lose another one of those matches that we all said last week they have to and they should win. So, yeah, it's a tough one. It was a tough one. And we did our fan viewing party. I think we were all like hoping this was going to be a great experience. It was going to be a win. It was going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Props though to those that showed up. We did do a little bit of chanting in a pizza place. We did get the attention of some of the people there. So it was pretty cool. We definitely will plan some sort of watch party again in the coming weeks, or at least in the coming month or so. Let me go to you, Dylan. What are your thoughts on this match? And is there anything we could take out of this match that was a positive?
This match was super embarrassing, and I think that's the most you could say. Was it just like what else can you say? The worst team in the league, and they're terrible. It's a bunch of kids. You should be beating a bunch of kids with established professionals, and it doesn't happen. And you give up 2 unanswered goals. It was just, it's embarrassing all around. I don't know if there's any I think the one positive is that Darwin Jones and Michael Seaton are still working really well together. Maybe that's the one thing you could take from it, because otherwise, no, there's not a lot of good that came out of that match.
Alan, what about you?
To me, it was just super frustrating. It was another one of the Orange County games where there was probably 2 or 3 opportunities for them to score a clean goal, and the guy who had the best shot either didn't take it or deferred, or you put it wide one way, or just it's kind of been the calling card of Orange County this year. This like Jekyll and Hyde. You play well, you don't play well, and sometimes in games the build-up's great, and you have this opportunity to have an open net, and the guy you want to take the guy who's in the best chance to take that shot gives it up to a guy who thinks he's the goal scorer, and it's like you kind of want that deference from time to time, but sometimes you just got to pounce on that ball and put it in the net. It was very, very frustrating. It seemed like they started to get frustrated, and instead of slow down and be patient and build up, they were just dumping balls over the top again. And that works, once out of every 10 times maybe to even maintain possession. And they're a much better team when they do build up and they do play together, because they can. I just think sometimes they get a little bit frustrated because they should be beating these kids, but for some reason they're behind because it's soccer, football. To me, it was such a super frustrating game to watch. And I'm sure it was probably a super frustrating game for the guys on the field too.
So as both of you gentlemen were talking, we do have the highlights courtesy of USL Championship Productions. So those are going on for those of you that are watching the live stream on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you watch this. If you're listening to the podcast, then just know you can watch us typically on Tuesday evenings at 8:30. This evening we started a little late because of a bunch of wonderful technical issues and all that. Oh, also one reminder that I forgot at the beginning of the episode 2 is that the Orange and Black Soccer Cast is brought to you by Ruffneck Scarves, part of Beautiful Game Network, all that wonderful stuff. And you'll learn a little bit more of that as we go through. I agree with you, gentlemen. This was just a very frustrating match in a bunch of ways. Towards the probably the last maybe 30 minutes of this match, you could tell Orange County was pressing. They were trying to figure out anything they could do to get a goal. I think some of the players were taking shots that probably weren't the greatest opportunities out there. There was also some opportunities, like Alan was mentioning, where a ball was dropping at like the feet of 2 players and neither player wanted to go get that ball. Both of them sort of took a step back and said, you get it. And then of course Tacoma gets it. And that ruins any opportunities there. There's just something off with the chemistry on this team this season. I can't piece together what it is, because there's some quality players there that have played in pretty good leagues or good competitions around the world. So there's really no excuse as to why this can't be put together. It's not like it's a full change of the roster from last season. There still are some key pieces out there. We all sort of hoped with Christian Duke rejoining the lineup that would maybe change things, or at least put some positive in this season from where we've been at. But just something is just off with this team and with what's going on out there. I don't know, Dylan, is there anything that you can say, or any thoughts, or is there someone that's frustrating you, or is there a strategy that's frustrating you that you're seeing, not just from this game, but from the team in general all season?
No individual player has ever frustrated me on this team, and no individual player has frustrated me this season. Of course not. One strategy that does piss me off is the fact that we just resort to the long ball every time stuff stops working. We did it last year against Oklahoma when we just threw everyone on. We brought on Walker Hume as a late sub. We pushed Alex Cronley up. We're just like, all right, we're going to pump the ball full of crosses and have these guys knock them down. And it rattled Oklahoma, and they started making mistakes, and we eventually came back. But those 2 goals weren't a result of us pumping the box. It was just of that pressure. This year, we're just okay, maybe I don't have a pass that's on, so I'm just going to hoof it upfield and hope for the best. But we're down a goal and there's 5 minutes left. And I don't understand why that's the default for these players anymore. We're not absorbing a bunch of pressure when we're in possession, especially not against a team like Tacoma. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. And since you've goaded me into saying it anyway, king of block shots this season, Harry Forster had 4 block shots. No, I'm sorry, he blocked 4 shots. But yeah, he also had 4 block shots while attacking. So, it's the same thing every time. Bunch of long passes, bunch of crosses that don't go anywhere, don't get completed. Sure, some of them are fouls, and that's how the game goes, but just not ideal, really. At any point, the game slows down when he's on the ball, and it's not really for the better, especially when you're playing against a bunch of teenagers. But whatever, I could go on and on like every week about how underwhelming this has been. I'll save my true end of season thoughts when I can rub it in for the end of the year. But it's just one little setback, and then all of a sudden, let's just play long balls forward, even though Darwin Jones is like 5'10".
And I think in this match at the watch party, I think all 3 of us were getting very frustrated with the strategy that we were seeing there with the long ball. I probably can say we all at some point were yelling at the TV that we were all looking at there while this was going on. You probably were the loudest of it, Dylan. But yeah, definitely just very frustrating that such a quality team, especially you're going against a Tacoma team that has a lot of youngsters. Not saying these young guys aren't talented, but it's a team that you should be able to break down. They don't have the experience of defending pressure like that. And so you should be able to move the ball around with the team that you have here in Orange County. You should be able to find a way to move the ball around, break down the defense, find that hole, and get a good quality shot instead of almost every single time trying that long ball to try and hope that you can get some sort of lucky bounce or something. I was about to ask Alan something like that, but it looks like we've lost connection to him here momentarily.
He just doesn't even want to talk about this game. That's how.
Yeah, I think it got him so upset too. Yes. There he is. Yes. We were just talking about you leaving us because you got so upset on this Tacoma match, Alan. I think you sort of heard what Dylan was talking about with just sort of this reliance on the long ball that Orange County seems to be doing most of the season. I was just saying that how frustrating it was. I think we all 3 of us were sort of yelling at the TV while this was going on. And I look at it as you're playing against a young Tacoma team with experience that Orange County has. We should have been trying more to break down Tacoma, moving the ball around, getting the Tacoma defense out of position, finding that hole and getting a really good quality shot. What do you think of that? Would that have maybe been a better opportunity or a better strategy for the team?
I think instead of the default being the long ball, the default should be the build up, and then you mix in a long ball every once in a while to make sure you keep them honest. That way, if the long ball doesn't work, you're still trying to keep them honest and using the build up as your main attack. It's almost like, hey, our wing guys are fast, so if I just kick it longer, they're going to run onto it, and we're going to be all right. And I think that's a little bit unfair to some of the frontline players. To put that much pressure on them. A lot of our successful attacks don't come from the long ball. It comes from getting the ball in the corner, getting the ball close to the touch lines, stretching the defense, and then pulling it back through the box. Those seem to be, or even shorter crosses in to get headers on the ball. There were so many that were so close, and any one of those connecting, we're talking about a different game. But those moments were closer than the moments of that long ball down the wing. I think one of the chances we got was Aiden Quinn to DJ, kind of third of the way past the halfway line, and kind of to change the side of the play. And so every once in a while that's going to work, and I think every once in a while you're going to need to do that to kind of again mix things up. But I think this team plays better when everyone's kind of involved in the play. It's the whole team plays, they're connected. I think that also invigorates them on defense. So the whole team offense, whole team defense. And I think when we saw that against Reno, that was what was so exciting, is it felt like the whole team was playing defense together and it felt like the whole team was pressuring, and it felt like when we went forward, like we were all going forward together until kind of late in the game, and there's some of those counterattacks. But I believe that we play a little bit better when we kind of slow things down, be patient, hold on to the ball a little bit, build up, break down the defense, and find one of those balls, those tasty balls through to put, Seaton in or DJ in. So that's what I've noticed when we've been successful.
Perfect. I don't want to talk any more about this match because it just got me too frustrated at our awesome watch party, although we were still able to get out and do some karaoke. But yeah. We do have another match to talk about. This is an upcoming match, and this is going to be Orange County hosting Las Vegas Lights FC. This is, again, what we were talking about earlier with the new youngster that has joined the team. His first official opportunity to get a chance to play. Doesn't mean he will do it. Dylan said basically no chance. Alan said a 50-50 chance depending on the situations going on. I will say one of our people that are watching on YouTube, Logan, who was also at our watch party there on Friday, he sort of agrees with you, Alan, that there's maybe a 50-50 chance there. He gave it a 5 when we said a scale of 1 to 10. He said a 5. So who knows? It's all over the place. Probably Dylan's right because he actually got to talk with the club and
place your bets. Let's see. Vegas is in town. It's only
yeah. We're playing Vegas. Might as well play some bets on this, right? Which we cannot do here, at least with our podcast. But if you want to do something as a friendly wager, no money on the line, go forward and do it.
I don't have money for that. No, I have hair.
Yeah, you could bet your hair you didn't lose it against Reno, which was awesome. But you did chicken out and let Brad get a nice hair.
Just being nice. Oh my God. Anyway, we're playing another Nevada team. This one far worse than the other one. This one far more disappointing than the other one. Meme FC is coming to town on Saturday.
Are they bringing the llamas?
I hope not, because they don't have anywhere to poop in Irvine, and Irvine PD certainly moving down for that. But you know,
probably. But yeah, so Las Vegas Lights coming into town to face Orange County this weekend. It's a chance for Orange County as a home team to get the win, get the full 3 points. We've talked about their struggles. They did struggle against Las Vegas on the road in Vegas. They only were able to come home with 1 point in a 1-1 draw against Las Vegas Lights FC. So this is, I hate to say this or ask this question, Alan, is this a must-win game for Orange County at this point if they have hopes of making the playoffs?
I think every home match from now to the end of the season for Orange County is a must-win game. It's crazy that they're still only 3 points out of a playoff spot, but they've been kind of 3 to 6 points out of a playoff, or 3 points out of a playoff spot kind of all season. So that's just kind of how it is in the West. But I think they have 2, 3, 4, 5 more home matches. I think they need to win all 5 of those to make sure they make the playoffs. They got a tough road game against New Mexico. They got to travel to Portland too. Who knows what you're getting? Tulsa, RGV, and then their last 3 are Real, Sacramento, and Fresno. So you got to win these games against the teams that are fighting for that 10th playoff spot. Las Vegas has won 1 road game all year. They need to win this game.
Let's not talk about how bad Vegas has been, because I think last episode we were talking about Tacoma, how they've been struggling and the point differential, and look what happened in that. So let's not focus on Vegas's downfall. Let's focus strictly on Orange County and what needs to be done on there. And because I don't have confidence that we're going to win because we're playing a team that's struggling.
Yeah, I mean, you might look at, there's a couple of road games that you're probably going to lose at worst, draw at best. So your home matches from now on, you got to play well at home. They usually do, but that hasn't always equated to victories. Sometimes they've equated to draws, even though they play well. So yeah, the last 5 home games, these are all a must win. The fact that we were talking that they might already be kind of counting themselves out of the playoffs already. They lose a home match against a beatable team, or a team that it's in competition for that last playoff spot. That's a double whammy. So yeah, gotta win.
And for those of you just listening to our podcast, not watching live on any of our streaming options that are live, when I proposed that question to Alan, Dylan in the chats on our video here in all caps said every game is a must win at this point or something. I'm not quoting him correctly.
They are all must win matches now.
There we go. That is the official quote there from Dylan himself. So we know what Dylan thinks there. Now, so since you say it that way, let's start off with the Vegas match. Is this a winnable match? And what does Orange County have to do to actually win this match and get the full 3 points?
Yeah, it's a winnable game. Vegas is not a good team. And I really doubt that Eric Winalda is that good of a manager. I think the key here is to not get sucked in to Vegas's stupid play style and the diving and the chippiness and the I'm going to goad you into fake headbutting me so that you get sent off. All the dumb stuff that happened in June and that they do to other teams, don't get involved in. This is maybe a game that Mike Seaton has to be reminded to stay a little bit cool. Leonardo has to be reminded to stay cool. Maybe a game that Contour should be starting because he seems a little bit cooler of a head in terms of some of our fullbacks. But yeah, I mean, we are a better team than Vegas. We're a better team than a lot of teams in the league, I think. And I think the key here is to not get sucked in and playing like them. It's the same time we play, every poor team or every poor team that's lower than us in the standings is don't play down to their level. Play our game. Make them try and adapt. Frustrating this team is not difficult to do. And that's kind of the key, I think. They already, when they just lost to Fresno on the road, and they're going to be missing a player to suspension because he got a straight red card. That's a common occurrence. So, frustrate them, make them try and break you down, let them get frustrated and start kicking out at you and, pick up 3 red cards in a match so you can beat them 4 or 5-1. Or better yet, don't let them score at all. It's, it's the simple stuff. And run their legs off because Irvin Parra is, super fat. They're not fit. They're not a physically gifted team.
Dylan, you just love
God, I hate Vegas, man. I can't even explain. Yeah, it's just they're professional athletes, and they weigh like 40 more pounds than me, and they're the same height. And it's just...
muscle. It's muscle. Alan, do you agree with Dylan in his assessment of what needs to be done to win this match?
Yeah, I think when Orange County plays their game at the level that they want to, they're one of the better teams in the league. The problem is that they've been inconsistent. They go away from it for whatever reason. They have bad habits built up somewhere, or maybe they just revert back to those in stressful situations. But when they play confidently and they play their game, they're a tough team. It doesn't mean you're going to win every game, but they're a tough team that should be in the playoff hunt. They're, with the players they have on the field. So, if they play like that playoff team and they play with that confidence and play with that kind of patience and calm that, playoff teams have, championship teams have, I think that, that's the formula that's going to get them 3 points on Saturday.
Perfect. Then let's do this. Let me ask you, Alan, I'll go back to you. Who needs to step up in this match for Orange County to be successful?
I'd like to see Aiden Quinn step up. And I know we talked that he's not a vocal leader, but he doesn't need to be a vocal leader. I think he just needs to be that voice in the field. I think Christian Duke needs to continue to be that voice on the field as well. And even Michael Orozco, I think maybe he can show. I mean, they talk about how much of a leader he is in training, and he's kind of quietly doing that. Maybe he just needs to, take charge at some point, and either calm them down to get them to kind of slow down, or to get them up to start the game. I think we come out hot, we come out fast. We've shown that when we score first early, we tend to do well. But I think, those 3 guys that are our supposed leadership on the field, I think they just need to continue to be those leaders and to hold those younger players and the younger ones accountable, but also the guys that you might not think are need that encouragement. I think the front line's doing really well. DJ to Seaton seems to be a combo that's been clicking lately. So I'd like to see some of the defensive midfield and maybe the defensive midfielders kind of be a little more vocal and kind of take charge of the game and make sure that we build the way we should be building as opposed to dumping it over.
Perfect. Dylan, any last thoughts on this match before we go to our predictions?
We need to win.
It would have been awesome if Dylan would have just turned his mic on and stayed quiet and we just hear the crickets. Yeah, okay.
Oh, and
we need to win.
This isn't what the stadium should sound like on Saturday.
Yes, fans, show up, come out, cheer your team on to victory.
It's not even showing. Like, if they're listening to this podcast, they probably show up to most games.
True.
But, I mean, get loud. The players need it at this point in the season.
Does anyone want to volunteer to go break down on the highway between Vegas and Orange County and take up all the lanes and just sort of block it for like a day or two so none of the Vegas supporters make their way out to the stadium? That'd be pretty cool. Let's do this.
I can't even hear them. There's like a drum line. They're like a crappy drum line. Not even Alan could save them.
Don't they wear like the lucha libre, the whatever those are? Yeah, those wrestler masks. Let's get to the predictions. I'm going to start with Dylan because you're the last one we heard from. Dylan, your match prediction as far as score and who is, well, we don't really need to go who's going to be the key of the match. Let's just get the score.
2-1 OC, Seaton, Jones.
Wants to, who's scoring? Seaton and Jones. Perfect.
I want Mike to be, yeah.
Alan, prediction for score and who's scoring the goals?
Yeah, I agree. A 2-1 victory would be very nice. I think DJ gets an assist on a Seaton goal again, and I'd like to see Coleman get on the board as well.
Perfect. I'm going to agree with you guys 2-1, but just for, purposes of wanting to not be so perfect in our predictions, or as far as confident in our predictions. And just because when I seem to be negative on Orange County, they surprise everyone and do the opposite. So I'm going to say 2-1 Vegas, hoping that that's going to...
You're not a fan, man. You got to believe in your team.
Every time we all three believe in a win, we tend to lose. So I'm going to...
I don't think that's the issue here.
I'm going to say 2-1 Vegas, hoping that this reverses something and we end up getting the victory. So 2-1 Vegas. The one goal scored for Orange County will be from Orozco.
I pour through the stats every week after matches, and I look, and you know what I've never seen as a stat? Podcast hosts predictions. Amazingly,
we're going to start keeping that stat. Alan, I'm going to put you in charge of keeping track of that stat of what we pick and what the results are, and how often when we all pick a victory does Orange County lose, and how often when I just randomly pick the other team to win, we end up winning. We're going to have to somehow keep track of that stat.
I think it's worked one time, by the way.
It worked against Phoenix.
Yeah. Wow.
At home.
3 months ago.
And that was also the last time they lost a game.
So, see?
Yeah, congrats to them, honestly.
It's something.
They've been grinding out the results that, the last 3 matches for them haven't been great.
No, congratulations.
And look at this.
Man.
That's how we played last year. That's how we need to be playing right now. You need to grind out those really nasty, terrible, stupid games and finish them. We just don't do it. So we got to figure out how to get that going again.
In Phoenix fans, instead of going to Dollar Beer Night, you should go to your only attraction in the city. Go to the Butterfly Garden and hang out there. Enjoy yourselves. Let Phoenix lose the game finally. Yes, and I'll be happy. Let's move ahead. We all did our predictions. Let's move ahead now. Let's talk about other soccer stuff. We do have to talk about other roster movement that happened this past week, and that is former Orange County SC forward, striker, whatever position you want to call him, former MVP finalist, was he Golden Boot or was he second?
Golden Boot runner up.
Golden Boot runner up. Thomas Enevoldsen is now a member of Sacramento Republic FC, a team that we're going to be battling for in the West for playoff positioning or potentially even meeting in the playoffs. I think there are a lot of supporters that didn't mind when he went to Indy 11 because that was the Eastern Conference. The only chance of having to face him would be if both teams made it to the USL championship cup final, but now he's direct competition for us. I know, Dylan, you had got a chance to speak with some of the front office over there at Orange County, and there was this sort of chance that he was going to come back to us, but just the two sides couldn't come to an agreement. So he ended up going to Sacramento, who is still in that aspiration for MLS stage. So they're probably more willing to spend money on players, thinking that it'll help enhance their bid to MLS. How close, do you know, Dylan, how close Orange County was at potentially bringing Anna Volson back?
I do know they were in talks for a little bit about it, but they ultimately couldn't agree. Oliver kind of hinted that it might have been something to do with, it wasn't this season, but it was something to do with next season and what he was asking for in his contract next year. And they couldn't agree to terms on that. And he said, it sucks to lose a player of his quality, but they're a little bit more focused right now on investing in younger players that they can develop, that can do a job for Orange County, maybe not this season, but next and in 2 seasons, and then sell them on from there. So it definitely hurt. I read the news like right as I got into the office and just went, oh man. I was hoping we were trying to bring him back, and the club confirmed that, but just, Sacramento has a lot of money right now. Getting rid of Josh Cohen, getting a transfer fee for him, freeing up that contract space and that payroll. We can't compete with that. I think everyone in the league really knows that we don't run a massive payroll here, and we haven't been able to sell anyone on. So, it's hard to bring in probably, I'm going to say, one of the USL's best players.
Yeah.
Life goes on, right?
Life goes on.
That's what we got to say every week at this point. Because
look at Dylan quoting Tupac there, huh? Alan, would you have been excited if Anna Volson would have been back in orange and black and white?
Of course, a player of that quality, you always would want to welcome them in if it works out, and it's if it's good for the team and it's good for the long-term health of the team. You obviously don't want to bring a guy in who might, damage some projects that are going on in the future. Again, we can only speculate on what is going on in the front office, but you just have to trust that they are building for the future while trying to win now. And maybe a player like that doesn't allow you to do both of those. It makes you kind of pick and do one. That's kind of why Indy 11 is doing what they're doing. Things weren't the top 2 teams in the East, so they looked to change things up. And Anna Volson is kind of one of the fall guys, and they brought in like 3 new signings or something. So you want someone like that to come in, but again, if it means that someone's not going to get a start who's playing well, maybe you just say, hey, he's a good player, but he's not a great fit. And with USL teams, especially not big, deep pockets, you have to play that way. You have to play, let's put together 11 of the best pieces that'll play together and maybe not be the best individuals at every single spot. That's the 2003 Angels World Series roster. There was a couple of all-star guys, but it was just a bunch of guys who played really well together. And Orange County,
it 2002.
Sure. Whatever.
You made Alan lose his thought.
I think
way to go, Dylan. Way to go.
I think even when you look at a team like Phoenix who's successful, you wouldn't say that all of those players are the best players at those positions. Just for some reason, they have a really good magical chemistry that they all seem to megazord together and create this beast that's running through the USL West right now. And I think Orange County had that last year. It was just a good group of guys that played really well together. And maybe that's the one thing we're missing is, they're not all green lines like they might have been last year when you're building a team. Some of them might be, yellows or reds, things that don't quite match.
And team reference.
Yeah. So I think maybe that's the issue. Maybe it's not one thing or one player. It's just how they all fit together. Like oatmeal raisin cookies. They're cookies, and cookies are delicious, but raisins are liars. So, so I just think that yeah, you bring him in if you can. But if not, you go forward with the players you have, especially in the front line. It's not like we don't have guys who can't score goals.
And so you talk about there's not a lot of money. It's why when Dylan plays Football Manager, he doesn't go after the big name players. He goes after players like Nohu Tolo, who are very.
That was not the purpose of that tweet at all. It wasn't even a tweet, text. Sorry.
A text. Inside joke. We're totally losing people on that. But if you play Football Manager, be like Dylan and go after Nohu Tolo.
It's all about the Wonder Kids.
He's from Cameroon, right? Yeah. He's a Cameroonian, according to Dylan's screenshot there. Any other information we want to talk about, soccer, USL, MLS related, or do we want to move on to our random thoughts because it's already super late?
I got some. So go ahead, Alan.
Congratulations to Carlos Vela. I believe he is the highest scoring Mexican national in MLS history. And I believe he also tied Giovinco for most combined goals and assists in a single season in MLS. So congratulations to Carlos Vela.
Dylan?
Congrats to Luton Town for advancing in the EFL Cup today. They made 11 changes from their match against Cardiff on the weekend, played one center back.
Who were you guys playing?
Came away with a 3-1 victory against Ipswich Town.
Oh, that's why you were playing Ipswich Town. Come on, man.
What are you trying to complain about? We played one center back.
Hopefully Luton Town makes it to a match against Tottenham so we can show you what real soccer is like in North London.
Oh, man. Yes.
All right, yes.
Was it the Champions League final?
Where was Luton Town for that?
A little bit busy winning League One.
Oh, okay. That meant more.
You think Tottenham's financially well run? Oh, man. Let me tell you about Luton Town. I can host an entire podcast. No one's listening, but anyway.
Is there a
little victories?
You should start with Dylan. I'll manage host, doing all the work for you on my end. You could just talk Luton Town all day. You could do it at 4 a.m, so you could bring someone actually from England to join you. I don't really have. I'm not even going to get into Tottenham stuff because I know y'all don't want to hear it. So let me just say that Dylan and I enjoyed watching the Tottenham match. It was awesome. So random thoughts, Alan. We'll start with you because I want to get you to bed. You got a big day tomorrow.
I do have a big day tomorrow. First day with students for the start of the year, and they finished construction and painting my classroom right about the time I left today. So it's going to be quite a busy and stressful day tomorrow. But I am.
So you're going to have extra asbestos in your classroom tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Because sharing is caring. My random thought has to do with 2 penguins in a German zoo in Berlin. These 2 penguins are a gay penguin couple.
I saw this 11 years ago on Parks and Rec.
Right. But even better than that, they have adopted an egg. There was a female penguin that was having birth. They weren't raising the egg or hatching the eggs very well. And the males had displayed evidence that they had wanted to do this, with pebbles. They were literally practicing to be parents. And they accepted the egg and are taking turns nursing the egg. So
nature.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Skipper and Ping are their names, and they have eagerly adopted an egg, and if all goes well, they will have a baby chick. So it's they're in Berlin. So keep an eye out for the 2 Berlin gay penguins and their hopefully successful hatched baby penguin.
Who ruined the penguin naming and not instead of naming it Ping, you should have named it Gilligan? Who ruined that?
They're Germans. I don't think they can have fun legally. Okay. Yeah, everything has to be very serious. So that would not be allowed.
Yeah, that just reminds me of the old Dana Carvey show sketch with it's like Steve Carell and Dana Carvey saying nice things but in German and sounding really mean. It's really funny. If you get a chance, check it out. You can actually watch all their episodes, all 8 episodes on Hulu, which is pretty cool. Dylan, random thought.
What happened to family values? My God. Gay penguins? What's next?
Gay unicorns?
I was going to make a joke, but I think it's a little bit too woke for Orange County, so I'm not going to say anything, and I'll just text it instead later. I just want to say the internet can be a really cool place. Earlier this week, maybe it was last week, I was hopping on to play some Rocket League with my brother in the morning before he was going to work and before I started my day. And I'm a member of a Luton Town chat, and this guy saw us playing Rocket League, and he had just gotten home from work, so I ended up playing like 4 or 5 games with a guy from Luton and my brother, and that was really cool. It's a really small world, I gotta say. I'll shut up about Luton, but you know, when you are nice to people, amazingly, they're generally nice back. I don't know why Alan's dancing around like he's Peter Crouch right now.
I was singing "It's a Small World," but I kept muting because I didn't want us to get sued.
Smart. Yeah, that rat mouse rat thing doesn't. That's another Parks and Rec. I'm gonna stop talking. Everyone, have a lovely week. I'll see you on Saturday.
Cool. My random thought. Thanks once again to everyone that showed up to the first ever Orange and Black Soccer Cast fan viewing party for the match against Tacoma. I wish the outcome would have been a lot better, but it was still a fun time with other Orange County Soccer Club fans in a pizza place that was pretty busy. I mean, there was a lot of people there, and there was a lot of people that noticed us cheering and chanting. So again, fingers crossed that we at least got a few people that at least now know about Orange County Soccer Club and maybe have some interest in it. I know there was one family, it was like, you know, a couple, actually, it was like 2 families, I think, sitting together, and they were, I heard some of them talking about potentially bringing the kids out to a match, which would be pretty cool. Also, for those that didn't go, because no one else came with us, we did do the karaoke thing afterwards. It was an awesome success. We got to hear Alan singing some Neil Diamond, which was pretty cool. Dylan got up and sang ASAP Rocky with me. He was my hype man out there doing the chorus. And yeah, it was a pretty amazing time at the karaoke bar. We'll definitely do it again sometime. And yeah, that'd be awesome. With that said, I think we're good to go. This is just super late now because we got off to a super late start. Alan, quickly, social media, go.
Underwood48 on the Twitter.
Dylan.
You can find me on Twitter at OCSC_Dylan or on Reddit /u/OCSC_Dylan.
You can find me on Twitter at DJ Racemore. You can find the SoccerCast on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast. Same thing for Instagram. On Facebook, just type in Orange Black SoccerCast and you'll be able to find us. For Alan, for Dylan, this is the Orange and Black SoccerCast, and we are out.
Win or lose, we will always follow you. Let it rain, let it pour, we will sing forevermore. Our opponents know we will fight until the choke. Forever orange and black, you can bet your life on that. CLC, ole, ole, ole. CLC, ole, CLC, ole, ole. CLC, ole, ole, ole. CLC, ole, CLC, ole, ole.
Thanks to our sponsor, Ruffneck Scarves, the official scarf supplier to MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at ruffneckscarves.com.